So today, I'd like to take you on a tour of the Fitec Self-Cleaning Digester system at the ZooShare Biogas plant in Toronto. First, we'll give you a quick overview of the site. Over here, we've got our receiving bunkers on the right of the building. In the background, you can see the end storage tank. Then we have our process building that houses most of the pumps and the preheating and pasteurization systems. And on the left is the Fitec Self-Cleaning Digester tank. This is where loads of organics are received. This facility receives approximately 17,000 tons per year of municipal source-separated organic waste, as well as industrial, commercial, institutional organics. We can receive waste up to approximately 25% total solids, and the receiving tanks have agitators that keep all the incoming material that varies in total solids contents nicely homogenized. Inside the process building, we'll first take a look at our high solids piston pumps. These take the material from the receiving tanks and move them through our double tube heat exchanger system. This system has a very high heat transfer rate and requires little maintenance. In Ontario, food waste digesters require this pasteurization step. So the material moves from the heat exchangers into these holding tanks before they're being pumped into the digester. The system that you're looking at here then also becomes the entire preheating system for the digester. Now let's go take a closer look at the Fitec Self-Cleaning Digester system itself. Here we are on the concrete roof of the self-cleaning digester system, and you can see me pointing to the center column, which is the drive shaft of the floor sweeper and the 1 horsepower motor that powers the system. The floor sweeper rotates very slowly to move the settled material to a sump pump that's poured into the concrete floor. The frequency of rotation is programmed by the operator, and it's dependent on the grit level of the feedstock that's coming in. At this particular facility, the floor sweeper rotates approximately once every hour. This is where the sump pump is installed, also called the grit pump, below the floor of the level of the digester. This pump moves a slurry of grit that's accumulated on the floor and digestate up to the top of the digester into what we call the grit settling tank, or sometimes called the sediment trap. Here we see the grit and digestate coming into the tank. It's then allowed to settle and separate from the liquid, which is clean digestate. We decant this digestate or pump it back into the digester, so very little organics and therefore biogas potential are lost. Then the dewatered sediment is augured into a bin outside the digester for haulage to a landfill.
Now we're going to take a quick look at this plastic skimming system. So the plastic skimming system works kind of like a pool skimmer. It skims all the floating material, which is mostly plastics and undigestible fibers. And it takes this material and it removes it from the digester. And we'll show you a little bit in a moment how it's actually separated to clean the digestate. It works in about the top foot of the or 30 centimeters of the digester liquid level. So here behind me, you've got the rest of the plastics removal system. So from the pump that I showed you on top of the digester, or the frame and the pumping system, that brings this digestate and plastics slurry into this tank assembly, where we have a screw press that separates the liquid and solid fraction, the contaminants, which are the rejects, basically all the plastic and rest of the non-digestible material. All of the digestate that leaves this plant is passing through a 0.5 millimeter screen. So we guarantee the cleanliness of the digester because we cannot bypass. We design the systems so you're not easily able to bypass this and put contaminants into your storage tank and therefore on your land. So here we have the rejects, which is mostly plastic. Effectively, it's film plastics, some hard plastics, anything that's floating in any non-digestible material. We've done efficacy tests on this material. There's no biogas potential left in here. So we know that the system, that the retention time is designed correctly, and our processes are very precise.
And so anyway, this material goes to landfill. Or I guess it potentially could be used as refuse-derived fuel if there's local market opportunities for that. But basically, this is all the material that would normally end up in your digestate on your land if you didn't have the system.
Thanks for visiting the Fitec Self-Cleaning Digester at ZooShare Biogas. Hope to hear from you soon.